Shout out if you think I'm totally at the top of my game in this show.
Yeah!
Disappointingly few. Shout out if you think I'm a bit off.
Yeah!
Sat at the back like a prick. Okay. So listen, there is actually a reason for this. It's genuinely true, and it's that my dad died recently, and yesterday. I know, right? You feel like a cunt now, don't you? He did. This is the funeral announcement. It was his funeral yesterday. I know, and I've driven back from his funeral to be here tonight, right? Now, there is a kind of connection here, right, with what we've been talking about, with Funny Rabbit, because my dad was 91. In fact, he was coming close to his 92nd birthday. And when he turned 90, it was a Funny Rabbit night. Was anybody here? It was like 8th of April 2022. Oh, excellent. Okay, so you'll remember this. So I phoned him from the stage, right? And I basically got the audience to sing Happy Birthday to You on his 90th birthday, right? So I did that, and then he went, Ollie? I said, yes. He went, what was all that? I said, I'm at Funny Rabbit. It was the audience singing Happy Birthday. He went, oh, right. It was amazing. And this picture, by the way, this is, not that one. That's that joke fucked up. This picture, right, that's him at Buckingham Palace. He got a British Empire Medal for services to his community. I know, right? And I went with him as his +1. I hate the fucking royal family, right? Dad, despite being a lifelong socialist, loves them, and the Queen in particular, right? And so the Queen didn't really make much of a show. Basically what happened was there was a big path through the Buckingham Palace gardens, roped off, and she walked down, of course there's a massive crowd either side, and my dad was quite stooped, as you could see, towards the end of his life, and he couldn't see over the people. He was so upset, right? And he was really disappointed. And then a bit later, when the crowds had cleared, Prince Andrew came past. I said, look, Dad, Prince Andrew. He went, yeah. So yeah, he was a character. And I can tell you what kind of character he was, right? He was so obsessive. He was such an obsessive guy, right? So literally, this is the care plan that his carers put together for him. And of course, when you put a care plan together, there's got to be consent. So they showed it to him for his approval. He took that as an opportunity to correct their grammar. Literally, on page 3, he's corrected the word lounge to drawing room. But he was quite a fun guy as well. He was very, but he loved a drink. He didn't have an alcohol problem. He just had a problem with anybody who doesn't drink alcohol. Right? Genuinely true. I broke my femur in 2015. I had to be off alcohol for 6 months. And when I started drinking again, I found it was really powerful because I sort of wasn't used to it anymore, and I'd get really woozy. And I told him this on the phone, and I said, Dad, it's making me really heady and everything. He went, well, you've got to keep going, otherwise you'll never be able to build up your tolerance again. He also refused on principle to drink Gordon's gin, because in 1992 they reduced the alcohol content by 2.5%. Genuinely true. So yeah, he was an amazing guy, really. And what was I going to tell you about him? Down here. Yeah. So he was in hospital for his last few days, and I'm one of 4, and we all spent some time with him. And it was actually kind of a sweet time, really, because he wasn't in massive pain, but he was very ill. And we were chatting because we're grown-up people, we don't necessarily see each other all the time. My sister was over from America, and we were having quite a laugh and everything. And he was sad to see him. He was a kind of mound of flesh in this bed, and bags under his eyes, and and he was breathing through a mask like this. And I walked in, like 2 days before he died. I walked in and I said to him, "How are you, Dad?" And he went, "Not bad." and this is never going to lose its impact, this, right? But you could see that even to the last, he kept his essential humanity. Yeah. So the other thing was, right, even on his last day, he said, he was like this, he went, "Would you like to hear a joke?" And he told 3 jokes. and I swear this is true, 2 of them were about, and I quote, an old man on his deathbed. Would you like to hear one of them? So there's a guy who's been very ill for some time, and he's had something wrong with his stomach, so he's had very restricted diet. The doctor comes to see him because he's very ill, and he says to the wife, he says, he's not got much time left. And she said, well, can I give him anything he wants to eat? And he went, yeah, it's not important now, because he's hardly got any time left. And so she goes, oh, what would you like to eat? And he says, is that boiled ham I can smell? And she says, yeah. And he says, oh, could I have a bit of that? And she says, no, that's from the funeral. Imagine a 91-year-old who's literally about to die telling you that joke. Either he was trying to tell us something or he was fucking oblivious. and I'll tell you this, right? So on the very last day, the chaplain came around. He was a Christian, he was very faithful, and in the he couldn't stay awake much because he knew we were there, and he smiled at us. He could talk to us. He knew we were there, but he couldn't stay awake because he had pneumonia. It was loaded, on his chest and everything. And the chaplain came in, and it all started getting serious because we sort of knew that he was on his way out. And she did the Lord's Prayer, and the Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. And we were all, we have different, none of us are religious, but we were praying with it. And as she got to the end of the Lord's my shepherd, after the bit about the valley of death and all that, we said, Amen. And he was asleep through the whole thing. But when we said Amen, he went, oh, like that. And I thought that's amazing, because he was asleep, but he's obviously taken that in and joined in. And that's how faithful he was. But it turned out he was coughing. And he coughed up an enormous amount of phlegm, which is very good if you've got pneumonia. So the Lord works in mysterious ways.